Verse 21, Ke udis epivlima rakus hagnafu epirapti epi imatio paleo. No one puts or sews a piece of cloth of unshrunk rag upon an old garment. A rakus, a rag, is like a piece of cloth that came off of the bolt, a little piece that was new, but yet it was never washed, and but it was still a piece of the good bolt. They call it a rag. I'm not exactly sure what other word would be better, but anyway, no one does this. They don't sew it upon an old garment. You don't put a unshrunk piece on an old garment because the old garment's already been shrunk, pulled in towards itself. Ide me, otherwise, ari to plioroma af to kainon, to paleu. Its fullness lifts the new from the old. The new piece of rag or piece, it'll shrink, and as it pulls, it tears the thread because it's pulling it away. Ke hieron schisma ginite, and the split becomes worse, a schismatic, a schizophrenia split. Derivatives. 22. Ke udis vali enon neon is ascus paleus, and no one casts new wine into an old leather wine bag, a bota bag. In Spain, those little leather bags, and you can pour wine in them, and then they have a little cap on them. You can pour them out. And these, apparently, were much larger. Ide me, otherwise, risi o enos o neos tus ascus. The new wine tears the leather wine bags. Ke o enos echite, and the wine pours out. Ke I aski apolunte, and the leather wine bags are destroyed. So these leather wine bags have already been stretched, and you put the new wine and the gases expanded, and it would just burst it. But, he says, Allah enon neon isaskus kainus vliteon. But new wine is to be put 3, 4 into 4, 5 new leather bags. Here we have two usages of new. Neon, new or younger, and kainus, the New Testament. Now, I believe what Jesus is saying here is that things are going to change. With his arrival, things will not be the same. The new covenant is now beginning, and he's using these two instances of the skins bursting and the old rag, as showing that the old ways are no longer, they won't work because of basically the arrival of the Messiah is going to end up with his crucifixion, and then the opening the doors to the Gentile nations. Verse 23, Ke ageneto paraporeves the afton in ti savasin theaton sporimon. And it came to pass that he passed on the Sabbath, there's a savasin, the direct transliteration, through the Hebrew to the Greek to the English, through the cornfields, or wheat fields. Ke irxanto imathite aftu odon piin tilontes tus stachias. And his disciples began to make their way, the odometer, while plucking the ears of corn or the wheat. In verse 24, Ke Pharisee eleganafto, the Pharisee said to him, Ide, si ti piusin en ti savasin o uk exasti. Why do they do on the Sabbath which is not allowed? And apparently Jesus allowed them to do this, and they did. Verse 25, Ke aftos elegan aftis, and he said to them, Udhapote anegnote ti epise David ote krian eske. Did you not read what David did when he had need? It's talking about 1 Samuel 21. Ke epinasen aftos, ke metaftu, and he hungered himself and the ones with him. And that's when he's fleeing from Saul. Verse 26, Posi silthan iston ikon tu theu, epi aviathar tu archaereos. How he entered into the house of God and to Abiathar, the chief priest. Ke tus artus tis prothesios, ephagon, and the bread loaves of the place settings he ate. Us uk existi phagin, which is not allowed to eat. Ime tis erevsi, unless to the priests. Ke edokan ke tis sin afto usi, and he gave even to the ones being with him. Now, there's a little problem here, and we'll go through it. Verse 21, this may not be, I'm thinking about it, may not be talking about verse 21, chapter 21 of 1 Samuel, when he was fleeing Saul. It may have been at a later time when he did the similar thing as what he did in verse 21. And the reason I say that is because in verse 21, it says that David and his men came fleeing, and they went to Ahimelech, the priest. It doesn't say he was the chief priest. Abiathar was the son of Ahimelech, and he fled after all the priests were killed by Saul, and then Abiathar became the chief priest. And so this may have happened later. May have just been a similar type of thing when David, possibly when David was fleeing Absalom, because I don't think Jesus would have gotten the names wrong. He would have known. And it says Aviathar, so now that I'm thinking about it, I don't believe this is chapter 21, and I'm not sure where that would be. I'd have to do some more checking. Sorry, it popped into my mind because I was reading it in verse 21 or chapter 21. How it was Ahimelech, and so it would seem like either the Old Testament was wrong or Jesus doesn't know what he's talking about, and I don't think either one of those could be. In verse 27, it continues, Ke elegan avtis, and he said to them, To savaton dia ton anthropon ageneto. The Sabbath on account of man exists. Uk o anthropos dia to savaton, not man on account of the Sabbath. So much is made of the Sabbath. Sabbatarians are been around forever. Not forever, but through the Old Testament when the Sabbath was made, and the seventh day when God rested, and today there's people who still don't work and they follow the Sabbath. And then in verse 28 it continues, Oste Kyrios estin o ios tu anthropu ke tu savatu, so that the Son of Man is Lord also of the Sabbath. So the Sabbath was made for man. It's not made to be a burden, but it was made to be a blessing. And when it becomes a burden, then there's a problem. When chapter 3 comes, Jesus goes further and he heals on the Sabbath, and I hope you will join us in chapter 3, and God bless.